What is up, New York Giants fans, Big Blue Nation? It's Rob and Donald. This is Nerding Out Sports. And Donald, I got three words for you: win and in. The biggest, and I'm saying it again because I said it 2 weeks ago, but the biggest New York Giants game since 2016. Win, and we're in the postseason. It all comes down to 60 minutes tomorrow afternoon, MetLife Stadium, Giants Colts. You're going to be there, aren't you, my friend?
I'm going to be there, man. I'm going to go to the tailgate, and then it's going to be a good time. I'm looking forward to it. Looking forward to an opportunity to finally see my Giants in the playoffs. It's been a long wait.
Make sure you take a bunch of pictures and whatever you can get, and we'll share it when we do our post game. But let's kick things off with the big news that we heard earlier today. Xavier McKinney is back. He has been activated, and he will play tomorrow afternoon. We're getting one of our best, if not our best member of the secondary back for the biggest game of the season. So let's start with that. How do you feel about the return of Xavier McKinney?
It's huge. It makes such a difference. Like the points per game jumps from 27 points per game allowed when he's not in to just 18 points allowed when he is in. The difference is stark. It's just he adds so much to our defense that it's going to make a huge difference. It really is. And listen, this Colts team, they can't score the ball. They can't score the football. They can't score. So you add one of the premier safeties in the NFC back in blue, and I have a good feeling that we're in good shape for going into this game. It makes a big difference. It really does.
Yeah, the Colts' last 5 games, they've scored 16, 17, 19, 36, and 3, and they have lost their last 5. So obviously they've had just a complete train wreck of a season between quarterback, carousel, injuries. Obviously Jonathan Taylor's hurt. Whatever you want to call it, it's just been a wreck of a season for the Colts. I really thought they'd be a lot better, but obviously things have changed their course of their season. I don't want to downplay anything, though, because the Giants defense, even with McKinney back, we still have a lot of holes in this defense, and anybody in the league can find a way to exploit our defense in the slightest. So I do think it's Happy New Year to 10K Rick. Thank you very much.
Happy New Year, man.
Thank you for popping in.
Happy New Year to you and family. I'm going to get my Giant hat on. Here we go.
Sir.
Let's go blue.
But I do think that with McKinney back, I wish Adoree was playing, but I'm okay with them being cautious with him in that knee because if we do advance, we need him for the playoffs. But we should be able to limit the Colts from doing too much damage to us. Like you mentioned, they have really struggled. Nick Foles looked terrible last week, and he's going to start again. So if we don't find a way to shut these guys down, then there's a lot of reason to be concerned.
I'm looking forward to seeing how our offense does because they've not got the worst defense. Their defense is fairly functional. It's their offense is just dreadful, and particularly their offensive line. They cannot stop anything. They have a dreadful offensive line. I think they're 31st in sacks allowed. So really, as Bill's got here, Kayvon should be eating tomorrow, man, and especially Azeez. I think Azeez Ojulari should go off. I think Kayvon's going to go off, and it really should be a competition between the two of them as to who can get the most sacks in the game. I really want to see that. I want to see them test themselves, going, okay, well, you get them this time, and I'm going to get them the next time. I want to see that. I think the last time I really saw that was Stray and OC, and then Justin Tuck. But I've not really seen anything like that in a while, so I'd like to see that again this year. It looks like we're in a good spot now. This is a really good matchup for us, a great matchup for our D-line. It really should do some damage against their offensive line because they really should. They can't stop anything. And Nick Foles isn't the same quarterback as he was when he won a Super Bowl. He's pretty much shot now. So I think we should be ratcheting up the sacks. I'm expecting a lot of pressures, and I think that's going to be the key to the game for us. What are your keys? Let's go through the keys of the game. So it starts with let's start with you, Rob. What are your keys to the game?
All right. Well, we're going to go keys to the game. We'll start with the defense, like you just mentioned. Blitz the hell out of them. Kayvon, Azeez. Azeez, as Brian Dable put it, is good to go, coming from that ankle injury he suffered last week. And we see how much of a difference he makes on this team. Rick says, I want to see a wide receiver core that's decent. We'll get to that. That's definitely one of the keys for sure. But defensively, Wink has been dialing up blitz after blitz after blitz. This is the game to keep doing it. Our secondary should be a little bit more intact with McKinney back there. He's going to be able to take away, hopefully, a lot of those potential deep routes, which you can help send some more guys on pressure. Landon Collins will be out there, maybe some Tony Jefferson, just to get a little boost, a little help back there as well. Send the heat. Let Azeez run wild back there. Let Kayvon run wild. Dexter Lawrence is going to do his thing. If there was ever a game where the Giants are going to feast and get a bunch of sacks, this is the one right here.
Agreed. Number one key to the game, blitz, blitz, blitz.
Blitz, blitz, blitz. Bill says, I want two things for New Year's, a W and no injuries. They're playing on the New Jersey turf. Yeah, well, that's getting changed next year, thankfully, but or next season. But, yeah, that'd be great. MH, it's a giant game. It certainly is. Thank you for popping in, MH. Key number 2. It's something that I've been saying. I've been calling
it. Start. Yeah.
I would like to see that. And that's going to lead to my next key. Let 8 throw it. Let 8 go loose again. Let's see him sling it. He threw the ball a lot, threw the ball well last week. I want to see Daniel Jones get an opportunity early on to throw the football, take some shots, see if you can take an advantage of this defense early, kind of like we did a couple of times against Jacksonville and against other teams. Let Daniel Jones rip it. He's coming off of his best game of the season. Confidence is high. He's getting a lot of praise from the fan base and a lot of people around the league. I would say let Daniel Jones turn the ball loose, and if you can build an early lead, that helps you close it out with number 26 there at the end of the game. So I would say early on, you got to let Daniel Jones try to take a few shots down the field.
So basically what you're saying is let Daniel Jones cook?
Let him dime. Let Danny dime. That's what I said last week, and I'm going to stick by it. Let Danny dime, man. That's key number 2. And key 3, I'm going to stick with the offense. Evan Neal needs to have a better game. He really, really struggled last week, and I think if this offensive line is going to become better over time, I'm not gonna like start to sour on Evan Neal. I think it's anyone who's saying he's a bust or whatever needs to quit it, but he needs to be better because he really did struggle last week. I'm not saying the Colts defense is a pushover, but this could be hopefully a get right game for him. We saw him improve after he struggled against Dallas, and then he got hurt. So if he can have a better game, that can do a lot for his confidence moving forward. Evan Neal, I'm kind of penciling him as that X factor on the offensive line that needs to have a better game. So this way the confidence level goes up, and he can get better from that point.
Exactly. I'm with you on that. So my keys, obviously the first key is blitzing. I mean, obviously that's right in Wink Martindale's wheelhouse. Fantastic. We're going to see a lot of that. We're going to see a lot of creative blitz schemes, I'm sure. But mostly because their O-line can't stop anyone. They can't stop it. They're just terrible. So this is where we can go off. This is where I want to see Azeez and Kayvon really have a competition between the two of them to see who's going to kick off and have the most sacks between them. So that's the key number 1 for me. Key number 2, receivers. Definitely want to see a little bit more of getting it downfield. So I'm completely with you that I think Daniel Jones' confidence is up. He had a really good game last week. It was probably the best game that I've seen him have this year. It was unfortunately in a losing effort because I think he played as good as you could possibly ask him to do. So I think I'd like to see get downfield a little bit more. And key number 3, and MH touched on this, a fast start. If we can get ourselves in front, a touchdown lead, maybe even a 10-point lead, something like that. If we have a 10-point lead early in the game, I think that will dispirit the Colts, and I think that will take them out of the game. And then it's the Giants game from then on. These teams that have got nothing to play for, the worst thing that you can do is keep them in it. That is the worst thing you can do. Don't give them belief. If they're down, stamp on their necks. That is the key. In fact, that should be key number one for me, actually, is stamp on their necks. Because if we start early, get a touchdown up, kick a field goal up 10, then they don't really have anything to play for. They should be at that point ready just to see it out, okay? Because we got a playoff game to fight for, and they don't have anything to fight for, and that's what the key is. But the only thing I'm worried about is if we keep them at 6 or 7 going into the fourth quarter, then their tails are going to be up, going, "Hey, we can do something," and then it could get really nervous because we've got a very young team, and this team ain't been used to going to the playoffs. So that's what I'm worried about. We don't want a situation where we're maybe holding on to a very tight lead, and then we get a little nervous and maybe throw a turnover or whatever, or fumble the ball, make a mistake in the rain, whatever it is. We don't want that. So start early, put the foot on the gas, get a touchdown lead, and then I don't think the Colts have the personnel to trouble us, really. I like Pittman, but who's going to throw him the ball? Nick Foles? Nick Foles has got a 31 quarterback rating right now. He's got 3 picks in just one game. He's toast. The running back situation, obviously Taylor's hurt. Naheem Hines is traded. So, Zach Moss, he's not really been used too much, 177 yards from him. Deion Jackson, 191 yards, but just averaging 3.4 yards per carry. Just 1 touchdown from him. So he's not really a threat. Their offense is cooked right now. They're ready to see it out till next year. They're ready to see it out to the draft. So this is where your opportunity. If there is a game that you could dream of for a home game to clinch the playoffs, it's this team right here, where they've got a coach who's never coached anything before. They have their star running back hurt. Their quarterback is out. Well, Nick Foles in. I mean, it's set up. It really is. And after they blew the game against the Vikings with a historic collapse, they didn't turn up last week. So I fully expect to do the job.
Yeah, I think it's important what you mentioned. Don't let them hang around, because we've seen the Giants do that. They let the Texans hang around. I believe they were better at the time we played the Lions, and they kept letting the Lions hang in until the Lions just picked them apart and took over that game. Adoree got hurt, Jones threw picks, and the Lions just took over. The Giants should, in theory, be able to run away with this one. But the Giants never run away with anything. If there's one thing we've learned about this team, especially this year, is they're going to make this somehow. They're going to find a way to make this one of those gut-wrenching, heart attack-worthy games where they're probably going to end up – I still think we end up winning the game, but they'll find a way, I think, to make this like one of those heart palpitation games. So I'm hoping it's a different story. But like you said, if there's ever a game that they should run away with, it is set up. And Bill, catch up with the rest of this when I get home. If anyone's calling the game, let me know. We're not going to be calling the game, but thank you for popping in, Bill. Donald's going to be going to the game tomorrow. So I don't know if you weren't here for the beginning of the show, but he will be there tomorrow live in person with Alex for Big Blue in the Bronx. So he's going to have a good time. But thank you for popping in, Bill.
With the Talking Giants crew, and it should be a lot of fun.
Definitely going to be a lot of fun. But yeah, let's get back to the game here, because I want that blowout win. I really do, because it's something that I've been waiting for the Giants to have for a while. It's been so long since we've had one of those easy kick back, put your feet up, let's enjoy it. But we're not built for that. And I know the Colts aren't a good team, but the Giants are not a team that's built to blow teams out. And I do believe the Colts are just so bad right now for a lot of different reasons. But we're also we're not at that level. So if we can do it, fantastic. If not, it's not anything that I'm not expecting. I'm expecting a close game despite the Colts' deficiencies.
No, I kind of agree. And I guess that leads us seamlessly into score predictions. What is your score prediction, Rob?
So I do think we're going to put up some points. And in Giants terms, that's not 30. I would love to see 30, but I think we're going to get 24 to 20. I think the Colts are going to find a way to make this a close one. I hope I'm wrong. I hope they don't score anywhere close to 20, but 24-20 is my prediction.
Interesting. So I was going to go 24 too. I think the Colts are going to score 16. So if you got 24, obviously I need to have a different score than that. So let's go. Oof. I don't think they're going to score 27. 27-16 would be a blowout for us.
Yeah, for us.
Yeah. Let's go 25-16.
So you're going 1 point ahead. Okay. 25-16. Watch it be like 23-18 or something. It could end up being some weird score. Something like that where the Colts maybe get a 2-point conversion because they go for it early. Something along those lines. Mm-hmm. I can see it. I can see them putting up some obscure number that you don't really see in football.
Yeah. I can see getting the scoregami tweet. I can totally see that. But the most important thing is we both have the Giants winning.
Yeah. I do think we're going to win the game. I just don't know. I know a lot of people are thinking, oh, the Colts stink. They're so bad. But let's not pretend like we're some juggernaut right now because the Giants certainly have their issues as well. And as happy as I am that we're in this position to make the playoffs if we win, I'm not going to overlook our holes. We do have a lot of holes on this roster. We don't have an offense that's equipped to, even against the worst defenses we've seen, it's a struggle to put up points. So anyone who's thinking we're going to put up 30, 35 points, I wouldn't say yes to that. I wouldn't guarantee it. If we can get 23, 24, that should be more than enough for us to win the game.
Agreed. Okay. How many sacks are the Giants going to have in this game?
I'm going to say 5. I think we're going to rack them up this week.
Okay. Well, 5 sacks. I have 6.
Ooh, that'd be nice.
I could see K having 2, Z's having 3, something like that, or maybe vice versa. Maybe K having 3, Z's 2, and then 1 from Jihad Ward, something like that. So, yeah, I'm going to go 6 sacks. How many turnovers will the Giants have?
I think we'll force a couple. So I'm going to go 2. I think we'll finally get a pick this week, and we'll probably end up getting a forced fumble. We were so close to interceptions last week. I think this week we have to get 1.
Yep, I think we'll get 1 sack. I could see us getting. I'm going to go 3. If you got 2, then I'll have 3. Nick Foles turned the ball over 3 times in the last game. I could see us doing the same thing. Daniel Jones, let Danny dine. How many will Danny dine?
So last week he threw for like 3-something. I don't think he'll hit that number this week. But I do think he's going to go for about 255. 255, and I think I have us going 24 points. I think he'll have 2 touchdowns.
Yep, I could kind of see that. Is that 255 all in or 255 in the air?
Passing. I think he could definitely go over 300 all purpose, but I'll stick with the passing 255.
I'll go 300 all purpose. And yeah, 2 touchdowns. Saquon Barkley.
This should be a game where he can get close to 100. I think he's going to fall just short. I'm going to say 95 yards and a touchdown.
One and the TD jumps out of my head. So you go 95 touchdown, I'll go 105 touchdown for Saquon. Who will have the most receiving yards?
Well, it's been one of 3 people. It's either Richie James, Isaiah Hodgins, who has been becoming a star.
He's become great.
Darius Slayton. I'm going to go Slayton this week. Because he hasn't had it for a couple of weeks now. I think he'll get back to it.
Let's slay. How many yards do you think he's going to get?
Well, Jones likes to spread the ball around between those 3, and then he'll get a little Bellinger, maybe some Barkley. I would say I'll say 73 for Slayton. It should be enough to lead the team.
Let's slay. Okay. I also agree with you on Slay, but for being different, keep it more interesting, I will go Hodgins. And 80. And will Slay or Hodgins get a touchdown?
I say Darius Slayton's going to get the first.
Okay. And so you got Slay having the first touchdown.
Yeah.
Okay. I'll go. I always do this. Saquon Barkley first touchdown. Will Danny fumble?
I think he's going to have a turnover-free game. Threw a pick last week. I think I predicted that was going to happen because it's been taught every time there's like a good stretch where he doesn't turn it over, and everyone says, "Look, he's not turning the ball over." He does. So now that he had one last week, this should be the start of a maybe 2-game stretch in the regular season, or maybe a couple of games where he doesn't do it. So today, for this game, for tomorrow, no turnovers.
Every time that I say that he's going to turn the ball over, he doesn't. So on this occasion, I'm going to say he turns the ball over once, with the hope that the reverse psychology works. No, I feel pretty good about this game. I think the Giants are going to do it, and it'll be our first playoff appearance. And in 2016, since 2016?
Yeah, well, it'll be 2017 was a technical year, so it would be 6 years no matter what.
Unbelievable.
More than half
too
a decade.
long.
Yeah.
I'm really looking forward to our post-game show where hopefully we can celebrate. But let's touch on, we didn't do a post-game on the Vikings game. And might as well catch up on that. What were your thoughts on the Viking game?
So I put on Twitter after the game that I know I should feel proud of the team because they went toe-to-toe. It took another 60-yard field goal for us to lose.
Mm-hmm.
And this is against a Viking team that just had the biggest comeback in NFL history, against a team that we're playing tomorrow. They're the second seed in the NFC, one of the best records in all of football. They're a team that many think could potentially go toe-to-toe with the Eagles in the playoffs. And we went on the road shorthanded, not even close to personnel compared to what they have. And we knew what Jefferson would do to us. We knew what Hawkinson would do to us. And at the end of the day, we were right there. And we almost beat him. So I know I should feel proud. But I can't help but think about the fumble by Bellinger, the pick by Jones, in the red zone. That cost us at least 6 points. And once again, the Giants find ways to beat themselves and lose games that they should have won. And they did that against Washington the first time. Instead of a tie, we should have had the W. They kicked themselves they shot themselves in the foot. They found ways to hurt themselves and lose that game or tie that game. They did it last week where they should have won and they didn't. They had the 2 fumbles by Richie James against Seattle. That was a winnable game without those. So I can't help but think the Giants, I know this is a learning process, a very young team. Things like this are going to happen, but you got to find ways to win those games more often now, because even though the expectations are still, you got to keep them tame, but we're this close to a playoff spot. And if that happens in the postseason, imagine if a mistake like that costs a playoff win. You're not going to be like, man, I'm proud of them. You're going to be like, wow, what could have been? And we could see the Vikings again. It's very possible we see Minnesota again. So I can't help but just be like, man, if they just stop making these mistakes and costing themselves, we would have beat the Minnesota Vikings, and we would have had a playoff spot clinch, because the teams we needed to lose did lose. So I can't help but just be like, stop doing that and just stop costing yourselves W's, because that's at least 2 wins that we could have right now that we don't, because the Giants just can't stop doing that thing where they shoot themselves in the foot. So I am proud of them. I am. Don't get me wrong. They fought a lot more than I thought they would, but I just can't help but think about the missed opportunities and once again costing us. And Carl Banks said it. They're very resilient, but not opportunistic. And that's something that I think is very true.
That's a good way of putting it. I'm going to go with the fact that I was actually very proud of them, even with the defeat. I actually felt pretty optimistic, because in our preview show of the Vikings, we were looking at the matchups, and the matchups were not in our favor. The only matchup that was in our favor, I felt, was our pass rush. I thought that if we could get Kirk Cousins on the run, he's not half the quarterback that he is in a clean pocket. That was the only thing going for us. Apart from that, we should have gotten cooked. We should have gotten completely and utterly cooked, because we can't stop anything in the air. We've got no secondary right now. Now we will with McKinney back, but and Adoree Jackson hopefully very soon. But against the Vikings, we had no secondary whatsoever, and they've got possibly a generational receiver. Cousins has had an okay year. He's getting the ball downfield. If you get him, if he gets the ball downfield, the Vikings are pretty much unstoppable. Their defense has got Daniel Hunter, who's a monster, and it was a terrible matchup for us. And guess what? We should have won the game. So it makes me kind of think, to a very small extent, it kind of reminded me of the time where we played the unbeaten Patriots and the Giants weren't given a chance in the regular season. And we played them all the way to the end and should have won the game. But you know what that did? It gave us confidence going into the playoffs, where we're like, if we play the Patriots again, I think that we could match up with them. So it makes me think, now it's not a direct comparison because this team ain't going to the Super Bowl, not by any stretch of the imagination. But what I am saying is, if we did play the Vikings in a matchup, I feel more confident going into that game, because we've got the keys to victory. We've got our pass rush. If Daniel Jones plays a clean game, Saquon Barkley has a lot more energy in his legs again. And Hodgins was looking like he was doing some stuff. And there's some matchups there that we can take advantage of if we played the Vikings again. Clean up a few things. I think, we should have won the game. 100% should have won that game. And the fact that we're talking about that, considering that almost 90% of the matchups were completely against us going into that game, and we took them all the way and should have won the game. And they played pretty well. They played pretty hard, the Vikings, but they were very, very lucky to come out of that. So that's why it gives me a hope that maybe if we did play them in the playoffs in the first round or whatever, I think we could take them all the way and maybe beat them. And then I think we're going to get completely steamrolled later in the playoffs. But I think in that game, this is the one matchup I think is favorable for us in a potential playoff scenario. Obviously, against the 49ers, we're going to get steamrolled. And the Eagles, it's going to be a blowout. But I think if we played the Vikings again, I think we could beat them because I think we got the keys to the victory right there, and that's a good thing. It gave us a bit of confidence. We're like, and even if we never play the Vikings again, I think it's given us confidence to go out and beat the pants off the Colts, and then say we deserve to be here. We played a lot of really good teams hard, and we've beaten some really good teams along the way this year, and I think that stands us in really good stead for the year coming next year, and year 2 of our rebuild. So I'm confident about that game. I thought it was a great game. I thought Daniel Jones had his best game, and obviously prior to this game, I was still, kind of 50-50 on whether we should be bringing him back. But after that game last week, despite the turnover, I thought he played his rear end off. And I'm now more comfortable with the prospect of re-signing him. I think he probably does deserve a short-term extension now with the way that he's played the last couple of weeks, especially last week. And, hey, wasn't this something that we were discussing on our previous shows? I want to see more of Daniel Jones before I can make a decision. Now we're seeing a little bit more of Daniel Jones, and now I'm a lot closer to making a decision. And it looks like the front office is too. So I think that we need to continue with that game plan of getting the ball downfield a little bit more, and see if Daniel Jones can carry us to a playoff spot. If he does so, then I'm more comfortable with extending him. That's why I was happy with. I can't say I'm happy with the loss, but that's why if there was a loss that we were going to have, I would take a massive field goal from the other end of the field to beat us, because hey, we gave them. You take that. You really would. If you're in that spot, you get to where it would take a massive field goal to beat us. You go, hey, we gave it everything we got. So I've learned a lot more about the Giants from this game than for instance in the win that we had against the Texans, where it was pretty brutal. We didn't see much of anything, but we matched up against a very good team and took them all the way. And now I feel a lot more confident going into this week and beyond. So I'm actually taking the confidence in it, and I'm pretty proud of them.
I think it's important that you mentioned the more belief in Daniel Jones, because with each game, we've been asking for it. Let him throw. Evaluate your quarterback fairly. And I keep going back to what John Maris said before the season. They did everything possible to not help this kid from the second they drafted him. Think about that. And I don't want to go down this rabbit hole, but they drafted him 6th overall. Was I a fan of the pick? No. But I've said it, and I'll keep saying it. He's my quarterback until he's not. But they traded away what would have been an easy number 1 target that same offseason and gave him Golden Tate. He had Golden Tate, Sterling Shepard, Evan Ingram, Saquon Barkley, when he could have had Odell Beckham, Sterling Shepard, Evan Ingram, Saquon Barkley. His offensive line was bad. It was just bad. No matter how many times they tried to fix it with Nate Solder or Patrick Omame or whoever they were bringing in, Mike Remmers, Will Hernandez, it was a terrible line. They didn't help the kid out. Saquon getting hurt 2 years in a row. Golden Tate being hurt or not playing in general, playing poorly. Sterling Shepard, injuries. Evan Ingram dropping passes. They did him no favors. And it was unfair for anyone to say this guy can't be the quarterback. And I kept saying to myself, I need to see what he can do with a full group. And even this year, at the start of the season, they had a full group of receivers. And within a week, it was gone. Wandale gets hurt, then Tony, then Golladay, then Shepard. And all of a sudden, he's throwing to David Sills and Richie James and Marcus Johnson. And then Hodgins comes in out of nowhere and just steps up in the big role he's playing now. But he had to throw to Lawrence Cager for a while. We're throwing to Nick Vannett. Just so many different changing pieces, moving parts. The offensive line has been literally rotating guys into place. He was down Evan Neal and Bredesen for multiple weeks. We just got Neal back, and he's still coming back from the knee injury. Feliciano sucks. Glowinski sucks. Like, there are still things that need to be fixed, and he is performing better than I could have expected. Are his numbers great? No. Is he going to break any records? No. But when you combine his passing yards and his rushing yards and his touchdowns and all that, his numbers look pretty good. Like, you're like, okay, I can take that. If he's going to be a game manager, he's getting the job done. He's doing what they need him to do. Hey, nice. Stand up shorts. Thank you for popping in. Went to the game. I hope you had a good time, even though they lost. It was a fight. But Daniel Jones, they did. I do. I am proud of them for the way they fought. But again, like I said earlier, I just can't help but keep thinking about the miscues, the missed opportunities. But with Jones, he's done everything they've asked of him. He's answered the bell countless times. We've won multiple games because of him with his fourth quarter comebacks this year. I think he has more than earned himself another contract. And I'd be perfectly fine with them bringing him back for next year and maybe another year after that. I think he's done more than I could have asked. We were asked before the season, what's it going to take for Daniel Jones to come back? And we both said he's got to make the playoffs, which we didn't see happening. We are now less than 24 hours away from potentially having that question answered. So Daniel Jones, I got to tip my cap to him because he's balled out this year, considering everything, what he's been working with, a literal practice squad. He's getting the job done somehow, some way. A lot of this has to do with the coaching. I think the coaching has been elite this year, even though Kafka's had a lot to be criticized about. But this is Kafka's system. This is Dable's system, and it's working. And they're getting the best out of Daniel Jones after 3 years of just not knowing. Think about it. 3 head coaches, 3 offensive coordinators, 3 offensive schemes for 4 years for a rookie who struggled in Duke because guess what? He didn't have a good supporting cast, so he comes to the NFL and it's the same problem. And here he is with the practice squad, a changing offensive line, and he's still getting the job done. I don't know what more you could ask out of Daniel Jones at this point for you to consider him not to be there. We'd have to be picking in the top 5 and getting a guy like Stroud or Bryce Young, and that's not happening. So I think at this point, I'm all in on Daniel Jones next year.
I'm very close to being okay with being all in, and that's a big statement for me because obviously I couldn't stand the pick. I didn't like his college tape, and his last 2 years I thought he was pretty bad for the most part, and I didn't give him much hope going into this year. But I have to be honest, from what I'm seeing a good NFL quarterback, and that is a big jump from last year. What we were discussing going into this year, I was like, his turnovers need to be right down, like completely way down, and he's done it. And I can't believe I'm seeing it. He's actually got one of the best turnover ratios in the NFL now. Like, he just doesn't turn the ball over much now. And that's amazing difference from someone who's actually at a historic rate of turnovers to what he's doing this year. That was a big thing. Because really, we were always in these games. It was just his turnovers were getting us right out of them. Now he's keeping us in these games because he's wiping out the turnovers. Another thing, he's seeing the field better. He's seeing the field much better. Like, he used to be just a one-read quarterback going into this year. And now he's seeing the ball. Now he's seeing the field. Now he's getting the ball to the right guy more times than not. And he can make all the throws, which he wasn't able to do in previous years. So there's been a big jump from this year. So, I mean, obviously, whatever Dable's done has been pretty wonderful. Like, the biggest credit I've given Dable, along with keeping this team fighting every single game, is his work with Daniel Jones. I really think his work with Daniel Jones has been pretty amazing. And I think you're seeing that he's trusting Daniel Jones more and more as each week's going on. Another thing that Daniel Jones wasn't doing in previous years is he was a liability in the fourth quarter in big spots, in my opinion. Like, he was just, you could just almost bank it that he was going to do something stupid. Now you could bank it that he's going to take us downfield and keep us in the game and possibly get a game-winning or game-tying score. That's something that's different this year too. So his confidence is better, and I think the teammates' confidence in him is up as well. I think the coaching staff's confidence is up, and the general fan confidence in him is up too. Now, I'm still not all the way in because, but I think I'm a little closer to being pretty okay with maybe a 2-year extension, something like that. And I think if he gets us into the playoffs, which I expect he will, he's earned that for sure. I can't think of very many scenarios where a quarterback leads a team that was rebuilding and isn't really given much hope by the general NFL media to go on and comfortably clinch a playoff spot for that quarterback not to come back next year. I can't see very many situations like that. So I think he does deserve to come back. So yeah, that's been the biggest turnaround. And I also have to tip my cap to Daniel Jones because he's worked super hard this year, super hard, and it's paid off. So, shout out to him. He's played really, really well this year for the most part.
Absolutely. And Stand Up Short says, I watched him at the Viking game. Dude needs to run more. We mentioned that they haven't really had more designed runs for him. But when he has taken off this year, it's been good because he's averaging about 40 yards a game. He does have over 600 yards. First time in Giants franchise history a quarterback has ran for 600. So
yeah,
he's doing something right.
Can't argue with that.
Yeah, I mean, you combine those numbers, it's like 3,600 yards, 18 touchdowns, and still only 7 turnovers in total. So the turnovers are down, the fumbles are down, the picks are down. And he's better than his rookie year, and we said it. He needs to be somewhat close to what he was rookie year statistically. He's better than that when you combine the numbers overall and the fact that we're winning and also that we're this close to a playoff spot. I think he's done more than I could have asked of him. So once again, Daniel Jones, keep doing what you're doing. Love to see it. But I think we should go into our picks for the week now, shall we?
I think we should. Let's do it.
All right, so you did some calculations. You had to go back and watch and find our picks. I have a 4-game lead on you. Is that what you said?
Yeah, I've got 92-88.
We've been close. And we got 2 weeks left to see who is the champion for the first full year of our picks here at Nerding Out Sports between Donald and myself. So let's start it off. We both got the Giants beating the Colts. The notebook is out. We both got the Giants over the Colts. Next game up, Cardinals and Falcons.
Ooh.
Very ugly matchup.
Ooh. You go first.
I'm going to take Atlanta. Atlanta at home.
Who's ahead in the spread?
Oh, Atlanta by 6.
Okay. Yeah, let's see here. Atlanta by 6. I do think that I think I'm gonna go Falcons too. Although Hopkins is out. It looks like against the Falcons. Yeah, he's out. Just looking at the matchup here, it's a tough call because there's 2 teams that are very disappointing. I think the Cards will cover the spread, but Desmond Ritter's been really bad, though.
It's true.
And Algier isn't particularly good. But Atlanta have a better coach. So give me Atlanta just. And you?
Falcons.
Okay.
Big game in the NFC playoff picture as the Lions host the Bears. I think Detroit should run away with this one.
Very important game. Yeah, same.
Doesn't get much different on this next pick. The Broncos head to Kansas City to take on the Chiefs.
Yeah,
I don't think we have to say our picks in that one.
I haven't drunk enough Prosecco yet for New Year's for me to to consider.
Yeah, it's Kansas City all the way. This one, a lot more interesting, though. Dolphins are on a skid. They're 8-7. Tua's not playing. They're taking on the Patriots in Foxborough.
This is a good one. I'm actually going to go Miami because Miami have a very good record against New England. Although New England have an elite defense, probably the best defense in football, which would make most people go New England's way. But I don't know. Just something gives me a feeling that maybe Bridgewater, a couple of screens to Tyreek Hill, and he can take it down the field for a touchdown. So maybe give me Miami in a tight, ugly game.
I'm going to take New England. I think New England at home, no Tua is going to play a big factor. I don't know if Bridgewater at this point is enough to beat New England.
All right. So this is the first difference that either you could pull away or I could get closer.
All right. Saints and Eagles. Jalen Hurts, I believe, is still out, but I don't think it matters because Minshew should be able to carve up that New Orleans defense.
Yeah. I agree.
Now this one, who would have thought this would actually have a lot to do in the division? Panthers, Bucks. Panthers win. They tie the Bucks record-wise. They'd both be 7-9.
I mean, it's such a joke situation. The Bucks, Todd Bowles has done such a bad job, man. Well, that team, how the hell has that team got a losing record?
Wow. I don't think Brady looks good at all. I know he had another fourth quarter or overtime comeback last week, but I think Brady is done. And I hate saying it because he's the GOAT. What's up to Jeffrey?
Happy New Year, Jeffrey.
Thank you for popping in. Happy New Year. I think Brady looks cooked, but I don't think he's going to lose this game. I think he knows he's going to win the division. And knowing them, they'll just turn it up in the playoffs, and the Brady is cooked conversation will go away. I'm going to take the Bucks.
Give me the Panthers. The Panthers have been odd lately. They've been very strange lately. Games that they had no business winning, they've won uncomfortably. So for some reason, give me the Panthers. I have no idea why, but they to be honest, the Bucks have been so disappointing. They've games that they should win, they're getting beat handily. So there's something wrong over there. Even though I like to see the GOAT in the playoffs again, it's there's something wrong over there. So give me the Panthers.
Jeffrey says Brady's college football team Michigan lost. I just did not know that. And Happy New Year. Yes, Happy New Year to Jeffrey. Thank you once again for popping in. Next up, the Browns head to Landover to take on the Commanders. Washington still alive in that NFC playoff picture. I'm going to take Cleveland. I think the Commanders' confidence is just shot.
Ooh.
TCU beat Michigan. Okay.
That's a tough call. I could see Washington winning. Who's the favorite?
The favorite is Washington by 2. So they're calling it close right there.
Give me Washington.
All right. We got Tony's Texans coming off of a win, which he's still celebrating, taking on the Jaguars. The Jaguars, with a win, would take over first place and set up a winner-take-all next week in the AFC
Well, that's
South.
exactly what I think is going to happen.
Yep. Give me the Jaguars.
Okay. Sorry, Tony.
Tony was actually at the Arizona Coyotes game earlier. I don't know if they won or not, but
What a guy.
What a guy.
He was the one fan.
Yeah, there was probably one fan that was there wearing a Coyotes jersey. It was probably Tony. Had to be. There's no way there's anybody else who roots for the Arizona Coyotes.
No way. I don't even think that there's ice in Arizona. Where's there an ice rink in Arizona?
How do they have a hockey team? That's actually a really good question.
Exactly.
Arizona have a hockey
in the desert.
Oh my God, Tony! I wish Tony was here. He can explain to me.
Do you want to find out what the score is? Let's see.
Oh,
I'm sure if I typed it in Google, it's going to come up like a bad website.
It's got to be over at this point. The Coyotes lost 5-3 to the Lightning, which doesn't surprise me because the Lightning are like one of the best teams in hockey, I think.
They're 13, 17, and 5. Well, that's not the worst.
It's better than what the Texans win-loss ratio is. So he's got that going for him. Anyway,
they were always going to win that game.
Could have bet my house on it. Next up, we got the 49ers taking on the Raiders. The Raiders are benching Derek Carr, by the way, which is actually big news considering all the teams that are going to be in the quarterback running next year.
Yep.
The 49ers are still rolling, even with Mr. Irrelevant himself at quarterback. They just don't see.
He's turning very quickly into Mr. Irrelevant.
He really is. We got to give credit. He's got a hell of a cast around and makes his job easier. But considering he was the last pick, playing his ass off, give me the Niners.
Give me the Niners.
Ooh, big game here for the playoffs in both conferences. Jets, Seahawks, both teams at 7-8. Luka's sanity is probably laying in the hands of Mike White tomorrow afternoon.
And Geno Smith is going to beat his old team.
The poetic justice. I don't think that's going to happen. I think the Jets win. I think the Zach Wilson funk is going to be off because he's going to be inactive, and they'll pull out a W. And the Jets fans will start screaming again about how Robert Saleh is the savior and Mike White's the quarterback, the next Joe Namath, and then they'll.
Rob, you've been hanging out your brother too long, man. The Jets are going to get toasted.
No, but see, that's what they do. They're going to win. Watch, they're going to win. Mike White's going to be the savior. He'll be on the cover. They're going to call him Mike Namath or whatever.
Cover of Time magazine. The quarterback that finally won a game for the Jets.
Yep. It might as well be their Super Bowl. And then they're going to talk him up, and they'll lose to Miami. And then it's going to go right back to this organization sucks, fire everybody. The Jets are a never-ending cycle of misery.
Oh, yeah.
Sorry, Luka.
I would bet anything that they're going to be miserable again at the end of this year. Anything.
This is another big game in the NFC playoff picture. The Packers still alive. They need help, but they can still make it. They host the Vikings at Lambeau. Packers are actually 3-point favorites going into this game.
That's weird. Do the Vikings have anything to play for?
Seeding, because they can still, I think with the win, they would, I don't know if they clinch the second seed, or they can actually still get the top seed because they're only one game back of Philly.
In that case, give me the Vikings.
I don't know if the Vikings, they struggled last week against a really bad Giant defense, really secondary. Also, the Packers are just so weird.
Mm-hmm.
And Lambeau, I'll take the Packers.
Okay, so there's a couple of games that we're differing on. I'm counting 4 games that we're differing on.
All right. Well, I don't think we'll be different on this one. Rams, Chargers.
Oh, yeah. Although the Chargers are a weird team, man, because whenever you bank on them to win a game, they struggle. But they really can't afford to lose this. So
no. Give me the Chargers.
Give me the Chargers. But the Rams did put up 51 points last week.
Against Denver.
Exactly.
We got the Steelers on Sunday night taking on the Ravens in Baltimore. It's actually
Why is this game been flexed?
Yeah, I don't know what other game could really take that spot. Vikings Packers is more important. Jets Seahawks is more important. Panthers Bucks could have been is actually a lot more important than that. Dolphins Patriots. Jesus. I'm gonna take the Ravens.
Lamar Jackson's out.
Is he?
Yep.
That probably explains why they've been struggling so much offensively.
No, he's been out for like 3-4 weeks.
I thought he was going to play. That's why I picked the Falcons to win last week, and they still lost.
The Ravens?
I picked the Falcons to beat the Ravens, and the Ravens ended up winning because their defense just doesn't give up a lot of points. And I don't know if Kenny Pickett's going to be lighting up the scoreboard, so I'm gonna stick with the Ravens. My gut reaction.
Okay. Is that all our picks?
No, because we round out the week with might be a preview of the AFC Championship.
Oof.
Bills, Bengals, Monday night football.
What time is that game on?
8:30 Monday night football, prime time. That is worthy of prime time. Game of the week, might be game of the year.
That's a banger. Rob, who are you going with?
Ah, man. I love Buffalo's team so much. Obviously, our coach and our GM are from that organization. But Joey B, the Bengals were my pick to win the whole thing this year. Bengals at home, I say they get the W. Taking Cincy.
Me frickin' too. We're both going Bengals.
And that wraps up the week. So we got some big games on the schedule. We've differed in a few of our picks, which this could potentially decide the season. If it's close, then next week will obviously be a very interesting one. But if someone pulls away, we'll see how it goes. But it's been neck and neck between us here in our picks, and we'll see how it finishes off. Hopefully, though, next time we see you guys, we're celebrating a playoff berth because the New York Giants, once again, those three words, win and in. It's all that matters. Doesn't matter how you do it, just freaking do it like Nike. Win, Giants, win. And I think that's all. Any closing thoughts you want to hit us with here, Donald, as we
yes, I'm really looking forward to going to the game. I will I'll take some pictures and we can update it on our show, on our post-game show. And go blue. And the most important thing I want to say is Happy New Year to everybody that's watched us, everyone who supported us this year. Happy New Year. I hope it's a safe and happy and healthy one for you and your family. And I'm really looking forward to providing really good Giant content for you guys in 2023 and beyond. So from over here in White Plains to your household, Happy New Year. And Happy New Year to you, Rob, my brother from another mother. I'm looking forward to seeing you in a couple of days in sunny Florida.
Absolutely, and a very big Happy New Year. Started the channel back in 2020, and I got to say the most fun I've had is over this past year and a half that I've been doing it with you because we got a good connection here. We talk Yankee baseball over on the Pinstripe Chronicles. We love Giants football, and I've had a ton of fun since we've been doing this show, talking about our Giants, getting our thoughts in there, chatting with everybody. Tonight we had Jeffrey, Stand Up Shorts was in here. Bill, thanks for popping in. MH was in here. Rick. So, as Donald said, thank you to everybody that has been here for all of our shows. Alex, Luca, Tony, of course. The list goes on and on. Jacob. I can try to name everybody, but I can't. We've had a lot of fun. We had that incredibly weird Halloween episode where I showed up in the chat. It was
funny, yeah.
It's been a hell of a year here at Nerding Out Sports, and I also cannot wait to give you more content in 2023. So a happy and a safe new year. Please be safe out there because the crazies come out tonight. And a big toast. I don't know if you got like a drink next to you, Donald. If not, you can just hold up your invisible cup in your hand. But a toast. Happy New Year, everybody. And most importantly, let's freaking go, Giants. We'll see you all next time.
Blue.
Peace out.